we have another amazing guest for you today. We have with us today Andrew Bolton. And as the CEO of Tech Rescue, he leverages over a decade of sales leadership to deliver cutting edge solutions in senior tech support, telemedicine, and wearable technology. Drawing on diverse experience in technology, construction, and finance, plus having a passion for adventure, wrestling, and motorcycle restoration, he offers insights on consumer behavior, emerging tech, and economics that shape the GDP and impact senior care. Andrew, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Chris.
Oh, thank you for being here. This is going to be a great conversation, and we have a lot of a lot of ground to cover. But before we get into that, we do like to have an icebreaker on the show. And the question for you today is, what is your favorite cartoon character and why?
I would say Daggett from Angry Beavers for anybody that is a 90s kid. Shout out to all the 90s kids out there. Neurotic, anxious, moving at a million miles an hour, and obsessed with eating. So, yeah, I completely relate to Daggett.
I like that one. I definitely like that one. I think you're the first person that's referenced that. And you know what? It's interesting because I believe those brothers were Canadian.
Yes, the Beaver brothers were up in Canada, and they had a absolutely fantastic dam. And I don't know who their satellite provider was, but kudos for you to making the animal planet accessible to the beavers.
Yeah. Oh, they had lots of things in that dam that were accessible to everybody. um, anyway, so tell me, Andrew, what is procrastination to you? How do you define it? What does it mean to you personally?
Oh, for me, procrastination is knowing that I have to do something. Like I know my wife's going to ask me to fold the laundry, and I hate folding laundry, but I know she's coming home in about like 20 minutes, so I've got about 20 minutes to go abracadabra and make it happen. Or otherwise, I'm not really into having an angry argument with a Latino because they fight unfair.
Hmm.
And chocola's hurt. And if anybody who's married or knows Latinas, you know exactly what a chocolate is, and they're sharpshooters with them.
Mm. Well, that sounds like a good motivation if there ever was one. Um, so,
Yeah.
so and we all know there's no silver bullet or anything when it comes to procrastination, but what would you say is your secret sauce for overcoming it?
Knowing her schedule. Knowing her schedule front to back, inside and out, and knowing how much longer of Netflix I can go with before I hear the car coming.
Hmm, interesting. So so you sort of measure that time by Netflix and the sound of a car.
I usually get it about a couple episodes in, maybe something like Narcos or Peaky Blinders or I I know this is controversial and I know it's going to stir the pot, but I really, really love the first sets of series with Kevin Spacey as Frank Underwood in uh, oh my god, I just had a brain fart.
Hmm.
Frank Underwood, the TV show, Kevin Spacey. Oh my god, wow, that shows you what procrastination can do to you. Fries you up. Um, all right, I'm gonna put that on a sticky note and get back to you.
Hmm.
That's embarrassing, but all right. Yeah.
Wouldn't have been House of Cards.
House of Cards. Thank you. Tag in next time. Don't leave me hanging.
Hey, I was googling it.
This is okay. That's fair.
I
But
was
thank you for
googling it.
saving me. Thank you for saving me. House of Cards. I'm a big fan of the original chapters of House of Cards. I think that show, as dark and as gritty as it is as close, I think, to what politics is about 3 feet deep.
Hmm. Hmm. Interesting.
and I'm addicted to it. I mean, plus, say what you want, but he is a great actor.
Mm, yeah, it's a true point as well. So Andrew, I mean, this is very interesting backstory. I mean, right now you're in Colombia, and you're
Yes,
setting up
Bogota.
this center and tech rescue. Can you give us, your journey? How did you get to be where you are today?
You want the 50,000 foot view or just the tech rescue version of it?
Hey, give us a 50,000 foot view because I mean it's relevant.
All right. 2007, graduated Indian Hills High School. Went off to Teal College to wrestle. Did 4 years at school. Then I graduated college in 2011, the height of the financial crisis. There were no jobs to be had. I walked up and down 6th Avenue and Park Avenue with a backpack full of resumes when I got back home in May. And I literally just handed them to every single office building I could. One point, um, a security guard walked away from the desk, and I was able to like shove as many of my resumes into like mailboxes as I could. I didn't know who I was sending them to. I was just desperate for a job after I graduated college. Um, and then I got a job as a stockbroker. I met my first boss. And then that journey kind of, the highs, the lows, and then I got to a point where what are you going to do now? And I was told go to grad school. So I went to grad school. I went to Harvard University Extension. I did 3 years up there. Met a lot of really cool people. Met a lot of interesting um, projects that were being done. Harvard really is a playground in many different ways. Uh, I saw kids building things that I, I I just can't explain how kids know how to do these things. I just don't know how they do, but they're doing it. And when I graduated, the job market really wasn't all that great either, so I had to go into construction. Um, Being a brick and concrete mason was more of my trade and practice, and then I got an opportunity to come back up to Boston, and I started up with a tech company that used a closed EPN network to create heat indexes for situational awareness for private security, our state and local police departments. We found out that one of the major cities in the United States had a rolling blackout of over 30%. So on a 24-hour basis, the entire city, comprising of about 17 to 20 million people, 30% of the entire city was not protected on a 24-hour basis. That was very alarming. Um, and that all blew up when one of our advisors, as well as one of our financial backers, gave us the valuation of over $1 billion, and everything started going sideways from there. And then a couple years later, Tech Rescue was born by my father coming into the kitchen and asking how to forward an email. I said, "You got to be kidding me! You don't know how to forward an email?" And he goes, "Well, I didn't come in here just to get a cup of coffee." And I went, "All right." And I looked at my mother, and my mother looked at me, and we're like, and then we covered the refrigerator with Sharpie markers and ideas, and it kind of evolved into that. And now with the board of advisors that we have, um, and our expansion into the large scale senior care living facilities, we are looking to expand globally. We're setting up an office down here in Bogota, Colombia, to start taking a look in the South American markets for different opportunities, since we know that the United States for seniors, as of currently right now, is not accessible to a lot of people. So what we have found over the past year or so with our advisors and contacts is that retirement homes are going to be more accessible overseas. So that includes the Philippines, Thailand, Ecuador. Quito and Quile are one of the biggest places for American passport holders to retire to. It still uses the dollar. It is currently about 3.74 times less than the United States. So a lot of Americans who can afford to retire but can't afford the United States to retire do retire in South America. So that's why we're down here, is to make sure that we have everybody covered, that this is not exclusive technology just for a certain select group. This should be available for everybody. We have a price point for everybody that can afford this. To keep your viewers in perspective, as of the 2020 census, and more importantly, the 2024 election, we know that there are about 174, 175 million seniors. Unfortunately, most Americans cannot afford assisted living facilities, coming in at about 5,000 on the low end to about $10,000 on the high end for independent living, and then 15,000 to upwards to $30,000 a month in assisted living. That is not accessible to everybody. Yes, we are business partners with a lot of these organizations, but that doesn't mean that everybody gets to not be part of this. And we want to make sure that we have accessibility, which is why it's important for me on this platform also talk about, and I'm going to steal it right now a little bit, is that out of 175 million Americans, only about 15% of us have the ability to access telehealth. That means being able to log onto your computer, log onto your phone, a tablet, and speak to your doctor, speak to a specialist. A lot of Americans can't do that because they don't have access to technology. They don't have access to Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, or they just don't know how. And that's no excuse. And that's why Tech Rescue is here. All you have to do is dial 855-250-8586, and you do not get a robot. You do not get a maze. You will speak to an American in South Carolina, and you will get help. When you pick up the phone and call Tech Rescue, you will speak to somebody. You will actually get a real human being. You want to talk about the Yankees? I know I'm a New Yorker, so I'm a Yankee fan. Yeah. You want to complain about the Giants? Hey, a robot won't talk to you about the Giants, but we will. And hopefully we'll fix your Bluetooth so you don't have to have your wife screaming at you that the game's too loud, and put your headphones on if you're going to yell at the ref. With that being said, though, we have an expanding population of seniors in this country that are being left behind. Over 63% of seniors have reported that they do not feel comfortable with new technology, and rightfully so. And to put it in perspective for everybody, your grandparents, the baby boomers, or what they call the original baby boomers, or the early birds, they were used to hearing about technology and computers that were the size of buildings. Floors were computers. Now, the cell phone that you have in your pocket watching this podcast right now has more computing power than the space shuttle that went to the moon. Just think about that for a second. The small little microchips in that piece of plastic surrounded by whatever color case that you have, it's got probably a cracked screen on it, and it's got probably some stains on the back of it, has got more power than Neil Armstrong's shuttle that went to the moon. That is crazy. And yet we're leaving them behind, and they don't want to be left behind. We have calls all the time. Our customers want to be involved in technology, and they love it. WhatsApp, everybody has it. And guess what? You can speak to your family, your relatives, anybody who's important to you anywhere in the world at any time. Just think about that for a moment. Never in the history of humankind have we been able to communicate with the entire globe instantaneously. And this generation has walked every single step and mile to it. And what we've heard from our customers is it has gone way too fast for them. They can't keep up, but they want to. And that's where we come in. Because I know I'm gonna look like the bad guy, but I'm wearing black, so it's okay. It's annoying to deal with Facebook. It's annoying to have grandma call me about a post. It's annoying to go over to my grandmother's apartment over at Sunrise and show her how to make a comment, or show her how to post a picture, or try to find my cousin's Facebook profile. And that's why we have Tech Rescue. For $30 a month, $29.95, or $250 for the year, full year annual salary, you can go ahead and rest assured that the time that you spend with them is actually quality time and not tech support. I mean, really, at Tech Rescue, we're redefining the senior moment. You cut out, you're muted.
Yeah. Sorry about that. So let me ask you, um, thanks for sharing that story. By the way, it's quite a wild ride. It sounds like. Um,
It has
what
been.
what would you say would have been your biggest challenge in that journey?
Okay, I'm gonna stir the pot a little bit more. I'm gonna add some hot sauce to this pot. All right, I'm gonna add some hot sauce. The most difficult part of the journey was when we were first starting out and we were asking for people's opinions, and we were asking for at least some point of reference. We asked family, we asked friends, I asked my friends, I even asked some coworkers, and anybody who's an entrepreneur knows this story because I've heard it plenty of times. If you're going to say to somebody, yeah, I'll help, please just help. You know, 15 minutes to answer a quick survey for me is not going to, take up too much of your time, but it means the world to me. Trying it out, break it. I want you to break it. I need to know what I did wrong. So if anybody watched this podcast, if one of your friends, one of your colleagues, one of your family members has come up to you and said, hey, could you do this? Please, for me, on my behalf, now that we're over that hump, help them out, because that just makes the journey a little bit easier. And when you're going down this path of entrepreneurship, it is a fight for every inch. So just that one less thing I have to really fight for, you can't imagine how much that makes me appreciate. Just that little bit, just that tiny, that little skittle of, just a little help. That was probably the hardest part of it all.
Hmm, interesting. So just getting people to give feedback, honest feedback.
Honest feedback. If it stinks, it stinks. Let me know.
Hmm.
Do you let your wife out wearing, her hair up, spray painted gold, yellow, purple, and orange? No, you're like, are you really sure that's the look we want to go for today? It's picture day. Is that really the look we want to go for? I mean, you can say it in a nice way, but hey,
I mean, that's where that chocolate comes in, right?
yeah, flowers and chocolate, flowers and chocolate.
Gotcha. So you had this idea, and I got to tell you, I saw the pricing. I looked at the website, and my question to you, and I'm probably going to stir the pot a little with this comment, is that we've all worked with, your father, your mother, your grandmother, your aunt. Um, Maybe if you worked I actually worked in a call center for a while, and we did activations for Virgin Mobile cell phones, and some of those calls could run for like 4, 5, 6, 7, well, not 7 hours, but the longest call I ever had was with one little old lady. Nice as hell. But she took, I tell you, she for an activation call to go perfectly right was 20 minutes. This one took me 3.5 hours. So I guess my question to you is, how do you how do you sort of mitigate that? I mean, I get where you're coming from, but um,
So we have what's known. So what we have is our standard operating procedure. We have the 5 card countdown. So where we're profitable is within a certain time period, and if we're getting to a point where we're getting really nowhere, we have steps in place that our our call center um, employees have the steps to go through in order to get the call back on track. And past a certain point, we escalate that situation to the supervisor on staff for that shift, and that gets taken over, and then we walk it back to the original point and we start the process a little bit differently. um, we also have part of our standard operating procedures. We call it the lonely boy syndrome, and I know it's a tongue in cheek name, but it was easy enough for everybody to remember. So we use that as the base. It's like NFL screaming out Omaha. only you're going to know what it means. Omaha means whatever you want it to be. So we called it that. Is we know that there will be a certain percentage, and we right thankfully right now it's pretty low, that people just want to talk, and we understand that, so we have points of reference for our staff to go down these procedures. We also have what's known as red flag procedures. We've only run into 2 cases like this. Um, we get a caller on the phone. Somebody calls in, sets up an account, or already has an account, and I like to say it's the magic words. It's the words that you don't really want to hear. Going down certain paths, and that immediately gets a notification to the shift supervisor, which then informs the liaison at our call center, who then informs the local and state authorities on where we are in South Carolina, and then that is sent over to where that person is located, and I'm immediately notified of the situation, and then that gets taken off of our hands, and then that goes to the proper authorities and the proper EMS and police authorities to handle that particular situation. And then we get a diagnosis report. Our legal team gets that report, and then that gets filed and stored away. And then our call center partners handle what goes on after that. So we have the procedures in place to make sure that we are not procrastinating too much of our time, and how we can effectively help people. Because we have unfortunately ran into only 2 of these situations, and thankfully, they turned out the best possible way they could have turned out. So, we are prepared for any of these situations that have arisen so far.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. And it's always good to be prepared. And actually, I had a more of a personal question for you.
Sure.
So, what made you choose Columbia to sort of, because this is your first office you're setting up, right? You're sort of your first satellite office.
Yes, we're setting up our first satellite office.
Okay. So I'm just curious, what made you choose Colombia as opposed to Mexico or Honduras, Ecuador, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama?
Well, the first being my wife is Colombian, so that's probably I'd say about 60% of the reasons why. Second, Colombia allows Americans 180 days without a visa. You have a passport, you can come on in 180 days on a consecutive basis, and you can leave. So one, I can come back and forth to our call centers to check up on things and see how everything is going on. Two, the type of employees that we get out of these particular areas are some of the hardest working, ingenuitive people I've ever met. Um, and them being able to handle our Spanish speaking areas for our Americans that are in who are in Honduras, who are in Ecuador, who are in Brazil and Colombia. Also, the taxes here are pretty good for us in terms of our commercial taxing, and also I know I'm going to be a little bit personal on this, but the food is fantastic. The food is absolutely fantastic down here. The food at the mall, just the food at the mall. Today we had lunch. I was hungry. I had to eat something. I got flank steak, rice, platanos, avocados, um, tomatoes. Like it's like this like tomato salad, but with like the lime on top. Um, a Colombiana beer for like an American was like $8, and it came out on a sizzling plate too. So
Yeah, you didn't get that in New York.
no, absolutely not. Like what Starbucks coffee? Like how much? I got I got a meal that could fit me, and I'm a fairly big guy. I got a meal, flank steak, which was absolutely delicious, and a beer, and my wife for like 2 Starbucks cups of coffee in New York City.
It's quite a big difference.
The maths to me.
And just you said you've been going down for a couple of years, right?
Yeah, we've been coming down here for about 2 years now.
And for entrepreneurs that are looking at, maybe getting out of the U.S., Canada, Europe, whatever, and they're looking at Central America or Latin or South America, um, what would
Hmm.
you say is the biggest culture shock you found?
The biggest culture shock that you're going to come down to down here is you better leave your American at home. I'm just going to tell you that. I'm going to be 100% honest with the audience. Leave your American way of thinking at home. It does not work down here. This is a totally different ball game down here. Amazon is not 2-day delivery. Milk comes in bags. Um, it is a whole nother world down here. And if you're going to be an entrepreneur coming down to Central America or going to somewhere else, understand your product, understand your market, and not every place is going to be there for you. We know for what we do, the Colombian, Brazilian, Peruvian, Chilean markets are not for us. But on a utility basis and on a corporate positioning basis, it makes absolute sense for us. And it's a great next step for us. A little inside baseball for you. We've been looking at, in terms of our global expansion in Qatar as well as Saudi Arabia. One, because they are central global hubs. Um, in Saudi Arabia, China is not more than less than a 10-hour flight. You have access to American, European markets. You have access to um, the the Southeast Asia markets from that center, and we can position ourselves globally very well, especially because we are a very low operating cost company. We are taking the stance of unilaterally using that to our advantage in the most aggressive way possible.
And when you say aggressive, what do you mean?
Well, since we're adding, I mean, we're just going to have a big old pot of Tabasco sauce instead of a meal here. But I'll be honest with you, and I know this is going to stir the pot. I was not very happy with the interviews that we had from a lot of our candidates coming out of college. Um, I just don't know how else to say it. I really, 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 really am scared for the next. So what are we in the class of 2025? So anyone from 2025 up to the class of about 2018, 2017. Um, I'm really worried about you guys. I really don't know what I really don't know. To come out of college and expect $100,000 salary, to come out of college and expect a title, to expect earned privileges as an open door right. I just don't see it. I do not see how
Hmm.
these sets of classes are going to progress our market capabilities. I just don't see it. And when I've come down here with my wife, I have seen people do the most craziest things to get a job done. I've literally seen somebody strap a refrigerator to their back like a backpack and pedal on a bicycle. I didn't think that was possible. The the work ethic that you find outside the United States. My mother, when she came down to visit one time, she said if the rest of the world had the ingenuity that the United States did, the United States would have a real serious problem. And believe me, I really, really, really want to be completely hubbed, but we just don't have the capability. We don't have the workers. And I know that's going to stir the pot. Yes, we have qualified people, but one, they don't want to work. The people that I need don't want to do our jobs. Um, they don't want to do this. And I get it. I understand. It's a really, it almost comes down to a no-win situation, right? So, for example, I have a friend of mine that back in New Jersey who is working at $22 an hour. So if we do the math at $22 an hour, a 40-hour week, we're talking about somewhere in the neighborhood of about just over the $3,000 mark. Depending on declarants and dependents and things like that. So let's just keep the ballpark nice and smooth. Let's just say it's 28 to 31. All right, let's just keep it simple. Plus or minus $300 on the dollar here. Well, in the New York City metro area, when you have studio apartments on the Lower East Side that are going for about $5,000 a month for a studio,
Mhm.
who can afford that? How are these people supposed to move? When I was in the United States last a couple of weeks ago, buying groceries at Walmart, the 60 rack of eggs used to be $7 after taxes. It's now 20.
Mm.
Make that math for me, please. How did we go from $7 eggs to almost 3x on eggs? Eggs. I've got over 500 eggs sitting in my kitchen here in Bogota, Colombia. You know how much that cost me? $35. 500. And this is where I want to bring it back to my company. Corporations in America have quantified us. They've put data points on us. Sets of skills, sets of assets, sets of liabilities, sets of problems were data points. You can take somebody with X amount of years that may not have a degree, but because somebody has a degree and brand new, now we're equating 20 years of experience with a brand new degree, but a lower salary. And we're like, oh, we're going to get the same productivity. We're going to get the same. No, you're not. You're not. You're not. I've laid brick with professionals, some of the best around. And when I was first starting out, no, there's a very, very, very big difference. There's a very big difference. You pay for experience. And one of the things that I learned in the sales trade is the three things: you want it done right, you want it done fast, you want it done good. You can't get all three. It ain't gonna happen. So which one do you want? And what is my biggest concern is where we are in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years as a country, and as for us as a business, because we cannot sit and just look at just the Northeast or just the East Coast or even just the United States. You cannot do that. You will not survive. So we have to look globally, and we have to ask the question that's uncomfortable. And it was a very unpleasant conversation. With the whole family at Thanksgiving. It got very heated. And I said it, and I'll say it now. We as Americans, the newsroom, great show, great show. The first thing about fixing a problem is addressing that there is a problem. And I'm sorry to say, we as America, as Americans, we have a serious problem, and we are ignoring it. We're ignoring it.
Mm. That issue being this sense of entitlement or lack of work ethic that's coming out of universities right now, or
It's a let's if you want to start from the top, let's start from the top. First off, when did we have to start doing boxes and squares and circles to do math problems? Which department changed math? Who changed? I have a niece in Connecticut who I helped to do her homework and long division, and she goes, "That's not right." I'm sorry. I've been doing long division for almost 15 years now. Chat GDP does it the same way that I do. Chat GDP does long division the same way that I do. And who decided that boxes, we got to go up, down, plus to minus to then do this? No, I'm sorry. Who said that? Who authorized that permission to change math. And then she said, well, my teacher's going to say it's wrong. I said, I hate to say it, but in the real world, bosses don't care how you got the answer. Did you get the answer? Is it right? That's the first step. When have we started changing everything around? Second, you're expecting kids 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 6, 7, 8 to sit in a desk for 8 hours a day with no recess, no stimulation, no nothing, and you think that these kids are going to pay attention? I'm 35 years old and I have attention span of a 13-year-old self of mine. I have to get outside. I have to walk around. People go do it in the office all the time. You see people get up, they go get a cup of coffee, they sit back down, they go outside, smoke a cigarette, go around the parking lot 3 times because Carl is hogging up the copying machine, and Stan is cooking fish in the microwave again after we all said that stop cooking fish in the microwave. And we expect children to just sit in school all day and think that they're actually learning. And finally, let's get to the one topic that's been trending all over the news. I hate to say it, but not everybody's meant for college. I'm going to just blatantly say this right now. Not everybody's meant for college. And I'm a product of the 90s, and I'm a product of a system that did not work for me. I got an interview at Goldman Sachs. I got an interview at JP Morgan. I got an interview at Blackstone. I got an interview. I got rejected from BlackRock. Not everybody's meant for college. We put this conveyor system together that was privatized, and all these companies, and they're companies, they're not colleges, they're companies, hand you a piece of paper and say, oh yeah, you're ready. What skill set did these kids learn? We took away shop class. We took away basic stuff. And now from what I heard, because I get the Wall Street Journal online, is that 15% are going to be truckers next year. 15%, just let alone. Like, we have a trucking problem. We have an engineering problem. We have a carpet. We have over 4 million homes that need to be built for people. People don't have homes. Nobody knows how to build a house. Oh, well, you can learn it. Where are you teaching home building? What class is home building? Tell me. Foundation, leveling, zoning, piping, gas, like all the steps that go into building a home, site preparation, zoning. Like, we're not teaching these things. And then all of a sudden we're scratching our heads going, well, we don't know why the economy's turning down. I don't know why people, I don't know, maybe because you don't teach the kids anything. Just a scary fact. What was it, about a year ago, 2 years ago? It was like that whole, I know it was a whole news thing, is that over 50% of the children of the United States want to be TikTokers, YouTubers, or influencers. That is scary.
Well, I mean, it's what they know, though. I mean, it's what they've been exposed to, right? I mean,
Exactly. And then now I'm gonna make some people mad. That's your fault as a parent. Well, my kids learn this in school. Okay, well, they're now in home. They're under your domicile. They're under your roof. What's stopping you from sitting down and doing some homework? What's stopping anybody from sitting down and trying to instill something better? Yes, they are products of the school education system, but every parent has the right to teach their children what they think is best. So it falls down on the parent. Yes, we can blame the schools. Yes, we can blame a system. Yes, we can blame a lot of other people. But at the end of the day, where's your kid sleeping?
well, if they're sleeping.
If they're sleeping, yeah, that's the other thing. What was it? Because we had the report done for us. Ages, I believe the age demographic was from 9 years old to 23. So that demographic from 9 to 23, which is a very vast group, spend on average on a 24-hour basis over 65% of their time on their phone. And that's just small numbers. You know what we have down here? You know what's down here in Bogota, Colombia? Not that. I don't see kids. I don't see kids with VR headsets walking around. Nope. Mm-mm. Kids are outside. Kids are working. Kids are playing. The apartment complex that we have a playground, and all the kids, it gets actually pretty noisy, are outside after school. If they got done with their chores, they got done working with their parents, they're outside playing. I don't see kids playing in the United States anymore. I don't see kids play. Where do you think that mental stimulation comes from? Where do you think adventures come from? The idea of, being a space captain, or, coming up with something cool, or a game, comes from improvisation. It comes from just being around your friends and just coming up with a game to pass the time. This is how we create the next imaginative groups. This is how we stimulate that growth later on. And we're not doing it. We're not doing it. And guess what? If you're not doing it, somebody else is, and it's programmed.
Andrew, this is an absolutely enthralling conversation. There's so many places we could take it, honestly. We are coming up pretty close to the time. Do you think that there's anything that I should have asked but I didn't ask, or anything that we should have covered that we didn't cover today?
Probably more about the fact that we are global. We are 24/7. We help with everything from Bluetooth connectivity, phone, internet. I know that somebody might be asking, do I really need the service? No, you don't really need it. But what we offer you is a chance to get back time with your family and your loved ones. So you could do one of two things. Mom can call you again later tonight or tomorrow or this weekend, and you can stop whatever you're doing, which may be finally relaxing on the couch, maybe relaxing outside, or just having a moment to yourself. And then you look down, how do I? $30 a month, $250 a year. We will take care of it. We got this. We we will take care of your family like they were ours, because that's where it all started. You have my word as CEO and founder of this company. Your family, your people in your life that you treasure the most, we will treasure them like that. Our applicants are screened and interviewed for empathy, for understanding, for patience, and we test them. We push them. I insisted on this. We call it the angry lady syndrome, where we just have a woman, we have this screened out where it's pre-recorded, and the answers are probably that are set there, and we try to frustrate you in our interview process. We try to frustrate you. We come up with the most crazy scenarios, bells ringing in the background, phone ringing. I get it. Mom, grandma, dad, whoever. I believe me, I get it. So when I founded this company with my mother, CFO, Dr. Virginia Bolton, um, we had that in mind, because that's what we lived through. We lived through somebody that was very demanding. We lived through somebody who is a very precise woman. She is for 97 years old, she is a spitfire, my grandmother. And I wanted something that and this is where I brought back to integrity of a company. I want something that I I, I know money is important, but I think what we've done as a whole is we focus too much on profits, and we've stopped doing good work. So think about, if to put it in perspective like this, right? Everybody likes IKEA, and there's nothing wrong with IKEA, but there's a difference between IKEA and hand carved wood furniture. There's a difference between being able to get, a flank steak cheese, cheesesteak, and then there's having a tomahawk or a wagyu beef steak. My point is, we have focused too much on fast, too much on easy, too much on profitability, and we stopped caring about just doing good work. To any entrepreneur out there, focus on the mission at hand. What is it that you're trying to accomplish? What is it that you're trying to solve? What problem are you trying to make the world a better place for? Focus on that, because when you do good, money will come, because people appreciate you caring. And that's where I think where we actually really, really have we're we're a small little startup company, and we're going after the big boys. We're going after the big competitors. And how we're going to win that fight is that we don't have robots, we don't have chatbots, we don't have a maze that you have to press 9 different buttons just to finally get to somebody, or try to trick the system and say yes, si habla español, and when somebody finally gets on the phone, oh hi, finally, you tricked us. No, we're not. No, we understand that these people are important to you. We understand that these people may be the most important people to you, and sometimes it can get annoying. I get it. That's why we're here. We're here to help, so that when you spend quality time together, you're actually spending quality time together. Don't let technology be the reason why you actually stop and call mom.
Yeah. I like that. That is it's a very good message, a very powerful message to end the show on. Um, just before we go, Andrew, how can our listeners maybe get in touch with you, learn more? Um,
Sure. You can go to www.techrescue.io. You can call us at 855-250-8586. We are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on Christmas, and yes, even on the Super Bowl, we will answer the phone. Or you can go to help@techrescue.io and answer any questions that you might have. Um, Before we leave, somebody brought this up to me in a conversation the other week, and it is something I wanted to address. There's a lot of scams out there, and I know a lot of people are hesitant about this. And one of the reasons why me being so trying to be proactive on podcasts and trying to get our message out is this. There's a lot of people that are looking to do harm, especially to the senior group. They're not as tech savvy. They're very trusting. They don't like to make changes very often. And we understand that. And I know a lot of people might be concerned about handing over information or setting their families up with something like this. Rest assured, Tech Rescue is separated by 4 major components. First off, our back end operation is completely handled by a separate organization in the United States out in Las Vegas. Second, our call center is based in Greenville, South Carolina. So we're right here in the Carolinas. We're right here in the United States. Third, all financial information is double and triple encrypted by Stripe, PayPal, Apple, and any of the other vendors that we utilize. I have no ability, me personally, as CEO, or anybody in the company has any ability whatsoever to get any information in terms of banking, social security information. That question is not even asked in our form to fill out. We have your information, you the subscriber, that you're subscribing to somebody for our services, and their information, their name, their telephone number, their email address, and if there's anything that you'd like us to work with, if there's any special needs that you request, we can handle all of that. So at the end of the day, when that call ends, because it's double encrypted, it's encrypted on your person's laptop, cell phone, or tablet, and it's encrypted on our end. Once that connection ends, we have no ability to go back. We have none whatsoever. We would have to start the process completely all over again, and that's a totally separate code, and that's a totally separate entry point for us. So we cannot access any of this information that you're afraid of. So for those who have any hesitations, we offer a complete 3-month trial, no charge whatsoever. Test us out, give us a shot, and see if we can't make your lives a little bit easier and make somebody's day a little bit better. Because at the end of the day, isn't that really what's more important? Is you're trying to do good, and we're here to help.
Very good, and again, very good note to end on. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Andrew. It's been a blast.
Thank you,
And,
Chris.
and to our listeners, don't worry, we are going to put that in the description, so you don't have to grab a pen and paper or anything like that. So, and just once again, thank you for tuning in, and just remember, if you can't find that motivation or inspiration for yourself today, maybe just go out and be that inspiration for someone else. And
Yeah.
we'll see you again next time.
Till next time.
Well,